Hey there everybody, Decaff here from YSFlight headquarters.com, and today we are starting a brand new tutorial series talking about taking Google Sketchup models and flying them in YSFlight. Now there's a lot of intermediate steps there that we're going to talk about, and today we're going to start by getting a Google Sketchup model into Blender. And we're going to first talk about the types of aircraft and models that you want to look for, and then we'll actually go and do it. So when you are selecting a model to bring into YSFlight from Google Sketchup or anywhere else, you want to try to pick something that hasn't already been done. Alright, just something new, something fresh. That'll really get a lot of excitement going about your model. So I've chosen for this tutorial series to do a Mirage F1. There are Mirage F1s in the default aircraft, in the general air combat aircraft, and there's also one in the SEP aircraft pack. So there are a few spaced out and around, but they aren't of any really great detail except for the SEP pack one. But even then, I think that we could go into a little more detail and make it a much cooler mesh, particularly in the cockpit and the afterburner area. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Mirage that I've chosen for this. And we have here a pretty nice looking model. We can go in and take a 3D view look, and we can see there's some weapons, there's some stuff in the afterburner tailpipe area there. It looks all around pretty cool. One thing to note though is when we're looking at a model, don't pay attention to the camouflage or the UV mapping that's on the aircraft itself. What we're really looking at is the mesh, what's underneath that. So this looks like it's going to be pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and download it. And you want to try to download the largest file that you can, because that's generally going to have the most detail. So I've already downloaded it, and we can open it up in Google SketchUp very simply. And here it is in Google SketchUp. Pretty cool looking. We can see in here that we have the afterburner intake assembly there. We have the air brakes already set up for us. That's excellent. We have some cool stuff in the afterburner tailpipe area. We also have these weapons that we probably will get rid of just because those probably aren't the default weapons that we'll want to use. So this looks like it's what we want to use. So we're going to export this. We're going to go up to File, Export, 3D Model. And now we have this option right here. We have a whole number of different 3D models that we can export to. I particularly like to use the OBJ file simply because it is a default file that Blender can upload, import, read, understand what is going on in it. We're going to want to go to the options here and select export two-sided faces and export edges. We do not want to export the texture maps. That's the camouflage stuff. We're not going to want that, and we're not going to want to swap the YZ coordinates for the Y to go up, because in our model Y is not up. We're going to want to go into the meters, and we will be all set there. Go ahead and name your file. I've already exported a couple versions of this for different purposes, so I'm just going to call this 12, and we'll hit export. Now, depending on how many vertices and faces that you have in your model, this exporting process can take anywhere from 15-30 seconds to a couple of minutes. So be patient with this. This is taking a long time. This is also going to be a function of your computer speed, so be mindful of that as well. Now we have our export results. So we have the number of groups. Faces is probably the biggest thing here, and then we have the number of entities and things like that. A lot of things in here we're going to find might be overlaps or might not even be needed in the very end. So we'll be able to get rid of a lot of excess. So we're going to close that, and now we're going to go ahead and open up Blender. And we'll get rid of our default cube, and we're going to go Import, Wavefront, which is the OBJ file setup. Now I have a whole bunch of other import options here because I've added some import scripts on my own. You will not have all of these guys here. So now we have to go and find our model. So I'm going to go to my downloads because that's where I exported it. Go all the way down. Here we go. D's, Dassault Mirage, and we're going to have a couple of different things. We're going to have a .mtl and a .obj. We only want to select the obj, and we're going to hit import and select object group and material. Import. And here we go. Here is our model. So one step that I like to do right now is look at it from the number 1 view mode and get it oriented correctly. So we're going to rotate this by 90 degrees, look at the front, and rotate this again by 90 degrees. So now that our aircraft is lined up properly, we're all set to go. Another first step thing, let's go ahead and scale this guy up to be about the right size. This line right here and that line right there are plus minus 10 meters, and our model is approximately 15 to 16 meters long. So we're going to ballpark it and say, oh, about 15 and a half. And we're going to say, yeah, something right about there. So now we have our model in Blender. We have it at the right orientation with our view modes, and we have it approximately the right size. So now we can go ahead and do some other fun things. So if you have any questions about getting your model into Blender, go ahead and shoot me a comment down below. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. We can get your models into Blender and get you going on this.